I stood outside their door with my hand raised. I had already knocked once, steady and light. My heart beat the slow, patient way a bus idles at a red light. I wore my blue dress. I tied my hair low. I had decided I would be myself and nothing else. The door opened. Lena's father stood there. He looked at me for a breath, then stepped aside. "Come in," he said. His voice was softer than it had been the week before. The living room was calm, with morning light laying itself across the pale rug. The table was set with papers, pens, and a plate of small biscuits no one had touched yet. "Good morning," the mother said. Her smile was careful, but it was not a wall. Lena waved me to sit beside her. Daniel pulled out the chair for me with a small scrape against the floor that sounded like a line being drawn under a sentence. I sat. We went through lists, flowers, seating, timing. The father used practical. The mother used tasteful. I added kind once when we spoke about how to welcome the older relatives. "We will put chairs close to the aisle," I said. "They will not have to stand." The mother nodded. "Yes," she said. "Kind." We reached the numbers. The father read from a neat sheet. "There is a small shortfall," he said. "Not large, extra chairs, the van for the band. A cushion for the florist." He smiled with half his face, the half that did not know how to be easy yet. I opened my handbag. I took out an envelope I had brought from my tin box. I slid it across the table, not dramatically, just enough for Daniel to see it. "For the chairs," I said, "for whatever is needed." He shook his head slow. "Ma," he said, "you have done so much." I placed my hand on his for a breath. "Let me do this," I said. The mother watched. Her face changed in a small way, the way curtains move when a breeze finds a crack in the window. She did not take the envelope. She did not push it back. She said quietly, "Thank you." It was the first thank you that sounded like a door being held open for me to enter, not just pass by. We settled the time for the wedding morning. The mother began to say, "The photographers will arrive early. Perhaps you can," she paused. Her eyes, quick and careful, moved from my dress to my face. "Perhaps you can be with us in the main room," she said instead. From the start, Lena looked down and smiled at her lap. Daniel stared at the mother for a second, then looked at me. The smallest things take the most courage. We took a break. Tea was poured. The father answered a call in the hallway and returned without his tight voice. In that quiet moment, Lena cleared her throat. "I want to say something," she said. She looked at her parents. She looked at me. "We have been trying to keep everything perfect, and sometimes that makes us unkind. Daniel's mom is not a guest to be placed. She is my family too." Her words hung over the table like a small lantern. No one moved for a moment. The father placed his phone face down. The mother's hands folded on the table, one over the other. She looked at Lena, then at me. She did not speak yet. I could feel things loosening the way a tight knot loosens when someone breathes. Then the doorbell rang. It was not a sound anyone expected. It was a clear bell, not loud, just certain. The father stood. "We are not expecting anyone," he said and went to the door. We heard a low exchange. Then he stepped aside and let a small, older man with a neat folder enter. The man took off his hat. "Good morning," he said. "I am from the city office. We spoke on the phone about the title update. I was nearby and I thought I could save you a trip before the wedding rush begins." The mother blinked. The father looked at the table, at the papers already there, then at the man's folder. He let him in with a small sweep of his hand, the way you let good luck come in without asking too many questions. The man placed the folder on the table. He opened it with care. Papers lay inside, neat and waiting. He pointed to lines and explained in a steady voice. "Here is the acknowledgement of address," he said to Lena. "Here is the confirmation of current ownership," he said to Daniel. "And here," he paused and glanced at me with respectful eyes, "is the signature line for the co-owner." There next to Daniel's name was mine, written in clear black letters, neat as a small truth spoken aloud. My name beside my son's. I did not look at anyone, I looked at the ink. My hand found the pen without shaking. I signed where the line asked for me. The officer nodded, collected the pages, and placed them in his folder again like a man covering a sleeping child. "Thank you," he said. "It is good to put truth in order before a celebration." He smiled and left as quietly as he had come. The door clicked shut. The room did not move for a moment. Then the father cleared his throat. "I did not know," he said. The words were simple, but they made space. The mother added in a smaller voice, "I did not know either." Her hands were still folded together. She looked at me not like a stranger, not yet like a friend, but like a person seeing another person. I placed both palms on the table open. "When Daniel was 3, I said, he had a fever that would not come down. I held him all night. I whispered every prayer I knew. I told him, when you grow, there will be rooms where you will be welcomed and rooms where you will not. I told him I would try to build a home for him wherever he stood. Years later, when he had a chance to buy, I did what I could. It was not much to some, it was much to me. I did not tell you because I did not want to count it like coins. I wanted to keep it like bread shared and gone." No one corrected me. No one rushed in with other words. The silence was not cold. It was warm, like a cloth placed over rising dough. Lena reached across and took my hand with both of hers. "I am sorry," she said. Her voice trembled the smallest bit. "I am sorry for the ways we made you feel small. I am sorry I asked you to leave last night. I thought I was keeping peace. I forgot that peace is people together, not people apart. You are building something new," I said. "Sometimes we try to keep the floor clean by pushing people into corners. People are not furniture. We cannot place each other and dust around. We have to sit in the middle and make room." The mother exhaled. It was a long breath, the kind that sounds like a person setting down something heavy she had been holding too long. "I have been proud," she said, her eyes on her folded hands. "I have been afraid too, afraid of being judged, afraid of failing. I tried to hide my fear by being exact." She looked up at me. "I am sorry." The father stood, then sat again, unsure where to put his body while finding the right place for his words. "I thought dignity meant standing tall, never bending," he said. "Today I think it also means knowing when to sit and listen. I am sorry for my part." He spoke like a man who understands numbers and was now trying to understand something he could not measure. The room changed, not like a storm, not like a door slamming. It changed like a cloud moving and letting the light fall on a face. We all felt it. "T," the mother said. It was not a question, not a command. It was a kindness. She stood and moved toward the kitchen. Lena followed. I went too, not out of habit, but because we were 3 women who had to stand near each other now. In the kitchen, the mother opened a tin on a high shelf. "My mother baked these," she said. "I have been saving them for a special moment." She held the tin as if it were heavy with something more than cookies. She opened it. Inside, simple butter cookies lay in careful rows. She placed one on a small plate and handed it to me. "Maybe this is that moment," she said. "Maybe we do not need to wait for a day with a label." We brought the cookies and tea back to the table. We ate slowly, the way you eat something that comes with a story. The father, who had always been careful with crumbs, let a few fall and did not fuss. Daniel reached for my cup and refilled it without asking. These are small gestures. They are also bridges. We spoke of practical things again, but our voices were different now. The mother said, "In the morning, please come early, be with us from the beginning. Sit where you want." Please, she smiled without pressing her lips into a thin line. "And wear your blue dress, it suits you," I laughed soft. "I plan to." Lena turned to me. "Will you stand with me when we sign the registry?" she asked. On my side, the mother's eyes flicked to her, then to me. She nodded once, a blessing without words. "Yes," I said, "I will stand with you." It was time for me to go. I stood, gathered my handbag, and felt the loose place brush my fingers. I would let it be today. We walked to the door together. The father reached for the lock, then hesitated. "I will walk you to the elevator," he said. The mother said, "I will come too." Lena slipped on her slippers and followed. We stood four across in the hallway, waiting for the elevator. A neighbor stepped out. She glanced at us and smiled. The door opened. We stepped in. The small space held our quiet in a gentle way. On the ground floor, the guard waved. The father turned to me and said, "Shall we call a car?" I shook my head. "I will take the bus." He looked like he wanted to argue kindly. Then he said, "We will walk you to the stop." We walked. It was not far, but it felt like something. The air tasted clean. The mother tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. The father put his hands behind his back and then brought them forward again, unused to walking without something to carry. Lena walked close to me, our shoulders almost touching. At the stop, we stood a moment longer than people do when they are simply waiting. The bus approached. I turned to them and said, "Thank you for today." The father said, "Thank you for signing." The mother said, "Thank you for staying." Lena said nothing. She squeezed my hand. The bus doors opened with a soft sigh. I climbed in and found a seat by the window. As the bus pulled away, they were still standing there. Three people who had once felt like a test I needed to pass. Three people now learning me as I was learning them. I lifted my hand. They lifted theirs. The bus turned the corner and the three of them disappeared like a page turned in a book you want to keep reading. At home, I put my handbag on the table. I took out my tin box. I added a small piece of paper, a quick note I wrote on the bus with the pen they had used for forms. I wrote, "Signed beside my son today." I folded it and placed it beside the old bank slip. I did not do it for proof. I did it to remember the feeling of my hand steady over my name. I made rice and ate a small bowl with ginger and a slice of boiled egg. The apartment felt lighter, as if someone had opened a window without me noticing. I washed the bowl and set it on the rack. I wiped the table in slow circles. My hands like to move when my heart is quiet. Daniel called that evening. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Like the room learned to breathe," I said. He laughed softly. "Me too," he said. "Thank you for trusting me." I closed my eyes and saw his small hands in the sink long ago. "Always," I said. A little later, Lena called. Her voice was clean, like someone who had washed her face with cold water and found her eyes awake again. "I sewed a loose thread today," she said. "Not on a bag, on a thought." We both laughed. "Sleep well," I told her. "Tomorrow we will decide the flowers again," she said, and I heard the smile in her words. "We will," I said. "And whatever flowers we choose, we will still be family." She was quiet for a second, then said, "Yes, family." The next day, another small change came, a message from the mother. Would you like to borrow a brooch for your dress? It was my mother's, blue stones, it would like your blue dress. I smiled at the screen, I typed, I would be honored. She replied, I will bring it on the morning. A brooch is a small thing. When a woman pins something of her mother's on another woman, it is not small. In the afternoon, the father called. I will come by to fix your loose cupboard door, he said. I had mentioned it once in passing. He remembered. You do not have to, I said. I want to, he said, and then added, if you will allow me. Allow a good word. Yes, I said, I will make tea. We both felt easy after that, like two people who had found the right distance to stand. Evening came, I laid my blue dress on the back of a chair. I polished my old shoes one more time. The leather did not change much, but effort leaves its own shine. I found a small handkerchief and placed it in my handbag. I put the envelope back in my tin box. I closed the lid and rested my hand on it like a blessing. I thought of the first night, the small smile at the door. I thought of the bus rides with my hands folded in my lap. I thought of the old dress and the way I had tried to test hearts by making myself smaller. I let the regret come again, but it did not bite. It sat quietly. It knew it had taught me something and did not need to shout. I lay down and slept well. No dreams I could remember, just a long, healing dark. Morning found me with a calm I had not known in weeks. I ate a piece of toast with butter. I brushed my hair and clipped it low. I looked in the mirror and saw my mother's face under mine for a second, her steadiness, her way of pressing her lips when she had decided something. We will go to the table as ourselves, I said to her. We will be enough. I left early. I like to be early. The bus was not crowded. A child sang a soft song about a bird to herself. A man read a small book. A woman held a bouquet that looked like sunshine tied with string. I watched the city shift from morning gray to a brighter color. I arrived at their building. The guard nodded. The elevator did its slow, faithful work. At the door, I knocked once and heard quick steps. Lena opened it. She smiled in a way that reached her eyes. Come in, she said. We were waiting. The mother stood with a small velvet box in her hands. For you, she said. Inside was the brooch. Blue stones, small and bright, set in a pattern that reminded me of tiny flowers. She pinned it on my dress with careful fingers. There, she said, now we are both wearing my mother. I touched the pin. Thank you, I said. The father came from the back with a tape measure around his neck for no reason at all. He looked at me and nodded, simple and approving. We are ready, he said, and he meant more than flowers and chairs. We sat for a few moments with tea before the day began to move faster. We spoke about little things. The weather, the traffic, the bakery that had fixed a flat top on a cake with a careful layer of icing. I felt something I had not felt in that room before, welcome without effort. Not the kind of welcome that needs you to bow or shrink. The kind that is a chair pulled out and a hand on your shoulder and nothing more. We went through the list for the last time. We laughed once about the band's name, which sounded like a dish on a menu. We agreed where to place the older aunts. We decided to add 2 chairs to the front row just in case someone we love finishes their lunch early, the mother said, surprising herself with the joke. She covered her mouth and then let her hand fall. We all smiled. Before I left, Lena stood up and looked at me as if remembering something important. Today, she said, when they sign the registry, please stand beside me. And when we eat tonight, if you will agree, please sit next to Daniel. At the head, if they call it that. I want to see your face when I look up. The head of the table is wherever we place our hearts, I said. We will sit together. She nodded as if that sentence had been a knot and now it was a bow. I stepped out into the day and the air felt like a blessing. It was not the end of our story. It was not the beginning either. It was a turning. A gentle hand on a doorknob, a door opening without squeak, the room beyond ready for us. There will be more to tell. The church with its wooden pews and long light on the floor, the vows spoken slow and clear, the way the room listened when I held the microphone as carefully as a cup, the first small smiles that felt new and steady. There will be a cookie that tasted like care, a seat offered without hesitation, a laugh without edges. But that is for next time. For now, remember this: truth arrived on paper, yes, but it also arrived in voices. It arrived in a small, I did not know, in a please come early, in a brooch pinned by careful fingers, in a walk to a bus stop shared without hurry. These are the signatures that matter most.